Hari Om. We shall chant the Shanti mantra together. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaih Stuštuvagam Sastanubhih Veshema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastaksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant the sixth mantra, sixth and seventh. Repeat after me. Yat tad adrishyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshushrotram tad apanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tadavyayam yadbhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha yathornanabhishrujate grihate cha yatha prithivyam oshadhayas sambhavanti yatha sathas purushat keshalomani tathaksharat sambhavati vishvam. So the Upanishad begins with this question, ki kasminno bhagavo vidnyate sarvamidam vidnyatam bhavati iti. Ki what is that one knowing which everything becomes known? So the teacher says that there are two types of knowledge, the lower and the higher. The lower is called lower because it is in the general field of ignorance only, wherein the sense of doership is there, the jiva hood is there, and one becomes the doer, the knower, the enjoyer in this illusory world, and acquires the knowledge which is required for interaction with the world. And this knowledge is also given in the Vedas. So all the Vedas, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharvaved, along with their limbs are called Apara Vidya, the lower knowledge. But this Vedic knowledge also slowly takes a person towards the higher knowledge. This knowledge prepares a person for the higher knowledge. Though the Upanishads are also in these Vedas, but just getting the word meaning of the Upanishad itself is not considered higher knowledge. Higher knowledge is that by which one attains that state of immortality. So yaya tad aksharam adigamyate. So by Shravan Manan Niridhyasam, one reaches that state of samadhi and gain direct realization of one's own self. It is said that one who knows the self becomes the self. Brahmavid brahmaiva bhavati. So one to be the self itself is to know the self. To be that Brahma, to be that Akshara itself is called knowing that Akshara. So this is the highest knowledge which is indicated. One who attains it, attains what? That is indicated in the sixth verse, that which cannot be grasped by the senses, the mind, the intellect, that which is free from the sense organs, that which is eternal, all-pervading, that supreme reality which is the source of creation, one attains that. So how come this is the source of creation? How this creation happened? That is said that yatha urnanabhi srujate grunnati cha. Just as the spider from itself projects the web, sustains it, and again swallows it back spontaneously. It doesn't have to bring material from elsewhere. Similarly, from that supreme reality, which is indicated as Akshara, the whole world gets projected, is sustained, and dissolved. But it is not a real world as one may think. It is just an appearance in that supreme. And just as the herbs and plants grow on the earth spontaneously, or like our hairs grow on our body spontaneously, in the same way the whole world is projected. So the main thing is the source of this world is that Akshara Brahma, which is our own self. Our real self is the source of this world, which one may find it very surprising and very difficult to comprehend, because we consider ourselves as the ego. So when we say the self, is that self which is indicated by that words, adreshyam, agrahyam, etc. So when it is said that the world is projected from this Akshara, what is the sequence in which the world gets projected? What is the nature of this world? That has to be understood. So that is being said now in the next verse, verse number 8. Tapasa chiyate brahma tatonnam abhijayate annat pranah manas satyam lokaha karmasu chamrutam tapasa chiyate brahma tatonnam abhijayate annat pranah manas satyam loka karmasu chamrutam. Tapasa chiyate brahma. That Akshara is also called Brahma. Our own self, Atma, is also called Akshara. Akshara means which doesn't decay, which is immutable, indestructible. It is also called Brahma. Brahma means big, Brahma means infinite. So here, if we see the world, then that Brahma is indicated as the cause. Cause, that word is a technical word. Cause means the source of this world, the substratum of this world. Cause is not actually that Brahma has become, but Brahma appears as this world. It's called, in technical language, it's called Vivartakaram. Just as the rope is considered the cause of the snake, but rope doesn't become the snake. Rope is the substratum on which the snake appears. So in that way, when the world is seen, world is experienced, Brahma is indicated as the cause of the world. But when one comes to recognize that Brahma, then one knows that in that there is no world. It is a strange thing. Therefore, it's called appearance. When we see the snake, it appears to be very real. And we say that snake has come from that rope. But when we come to see the rope, the snake disappears. Snake is not there in the rope. So when the illusion is seen, then Brahma is the cause. But when the Brahma is seen, there is no illusion. Just like our dream. When the dream is seen, then we say that it is there and all. But when we wake up, the dream disappears. So, from that standpoint, this creation is indicated here. Since we experience it, it is indicated, and within that, the process is also indicated. So, tapasa chiyate brahma, the language used is also different. Ki through tapas, that Brahma as though grows, swells, chiyate, as though swells. Here when it is said tapas, one should not imagine that Brahma is sitting there with long beard and all and doing some tapas. But later on it will be said that tapas is jnanamay, knowledge, or that pure consciousness of that Brahma itself is its tapas. Knowledge itself is tapas. So tapasa chiyate Brahma. By that tapas, the Brahma, that Akshar Brahma, as though swells, grows, swells. And tato annam abhijayate, and thereafter annam is born. Anna literally means food. But that is again a technical word. Anna means that which is eaten, that which nourishes us. That's called Anna. Adi Shankaracharya ji, in his commentary, he says that Anna is that unmanifest Prakriti. Unmanifest Prakriti. In Sankhya, what you call philosophy, as given in Bhagavad by Kapil Rishi, who was the avatar of Bhagwan, he mentions this Prakriti as a spontaneous appearance on that Brahma. Sometimes the term Leela is also used for that. Spontaneous appearance of that on that Brahma. So this Prakriti, Avyakta Prakriti, is it has got potentially three gunas, the Sattva gun, Rajo gun, and Tamo gun. So here the term Anna, it indicates this Prakriti, Avyakta, which feeds all beings. All of us are fed by this Avyakta Prakriti. Our thoughts, our emotions, our bodies, everything is fed by, nourished by this Prakriti only. All the thoughts which come in our mind, it comes from the unmanifest, what we call the vasanas or the samskars. All this unmanifest is part of that Prakriti only. It has got these three gunas in it. So all our thoughts also are trigunatmika, sometimes sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So that unmanifest Prakriti is spontaneously projected. Therefore it is said, tapasa chiyate brahma tato annam abhijayate. As I said, if I see the world, then this whole process of creation is mentioned. But the idea is to shift our attention to the source of the creation. And once that source is recognized, then there is no such thing called creation. This idea is very beautifully presented in Bhagavad Gita also. In the 9th chapter, Bhagavan says that all this whole world is pervaded by me. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. So if I see the world, then the world is pervaded by that supreme reality. Masthani sarva bhutani. Further, Bhagavan says the entire world exists in me. Nachamasthani bhutani, but I don't exist in the world. And then finally he says, what you call Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina masthani sarvabhutani naham teshu avastitaha nachamasthani bhutani. I am not in the world, and in me there is no world. So this is the stages of knowledge. These are 4 steps of knowledge. The first step is when we see the world, the divinity is pointed out. That supreme reality is pointed out as pervading this entire world, as source of this world, which is a fact. That supreme reality is the very source of this world. It pervades everything. Then the second, that the world exists in that supreme. World depends on that, not that the world is there and the reality is there, but the reality is there in which the world exists. The world depends on that supreme reality. But the supreme reality doesn't depend on the world. And when it is recognized, there is no world. So this annam, the word here used, is not some food to be eaten, physical food, but that food which nourishes the entire creation, the unmanifest Prakriti. So tato annam abhijayate, annat pranaha. Then from that anna, prana was born. This prana is that Brahma which we saw in the first verse, is also called prana. It's also called Sutratma. The Mahat Tattva is the first spontaneous projection from this unmanifest Prakriti. See, this we have seen in the last, I think, Yajna also, before that also. But I keep repeating so that this becomes more and more clear. Because this subject is such that even after hearing it, again we might get a little confused. So, from that unmanifest, the first projection is that cosmic intelligence which we call prana here, or Brahma, or Hiranyagarbha, or Sutratma, which is first spontaneous manifestation. So from the unmanifest, the first manifestation is this Hiranyagarbha. And Hiranyagarbha is Sattva Pradhan. In that Prakriti, all these 3 gunas are there in its equilibrium, balanced state. So when it becomes imbalance, then the projection happens. So the first, the Sattva gun gets projected, then the Rajogun and the Tamogun. So the first is this Mahat Tattva, then slowly the Ahankar, the cosmic Ahankar, the Mana, then the Tanmatras, the 5 elements in their subtlest form, the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and finally the Pancha Mahabhut, the gross physical 5 elements gets projected. That is the process in which the scriptures state the world came into being. And this we experience in our day-to-day life also. That when you go to sleep, when you are asleep, dreamless sleep, we are totally one with that Prakriti. Of course, the self is there, but our whole identification has happened with that Prakriti, Avyakta Prakriti. Then when we wake up, spontaneously, not with alarm clock, but spontaneously when we wake up from a deep sleep, first that thing which wakes up is general awareness. The first is awareness is there. Then we suddenly become aware of ourselves. That is first general awareness is there. Then there is awareness of I. Then there is awareness of thoughts. Then there is awareness of the world around me. This process happens so fast we might not realize it, but it happens. So when you wake up from a deep sleep, you just generally are aware. Then one becomes, मैं हूँ. That मैं का भान होता है. Then all the other thoughts rush in. Then when you open your eyes, the world of 5 elements are seen. Many times we don't recognize where we are. If we keep traveling and all, then we don't know where we are. So in the same way, what happens at individual level happens at cosmic level. The first, the general awareness is there, which is that Hiranyagarbha. Then Ahankar, cosmic, I, the sense of I, which alone gives rise to the sense of I in every being. It's called cosmic Ahankar. What is there in individual is there at the cosmic level. So there is this cosmic Ahankar is there. Then further it gives rise to the thoughts, the mind. Thoughts are created. Mind is projected. And after that, the 5 elements in their subtler form, which gives rise to the 5 sense organs and organs of action. And then these 5 elements themselves are further projected in the gross form. So this is the sequence of projection mentioned in our scriptures in various ways. Here, just briefly it is mentioned, but if you study other text and all, go into little detail. So tato annam abhijayata annat pranaha. So from that anna, the prana, Hiranyagarbha is born. And then from prana, manaha. Before that mana also this ahankar is there, which is not mentioned here. Then manaha, the mind, cosmic mind. From that cosmic mind, the 5 elements are created, which is mentioned here as satyam. As satyam. The term satyam is used for the 5 element, which appears to be very real. And then from these 5 elements at a cosmic level, the 5 lokas are created. 5 lokas, 7 lokas. 7 lokas above, 7 lokas below. So there are these 7 plus 7, 14 worlds are mentioned in the scriptures. The higher worlds, which are 7, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa, and Satyam. When we say Loka, they are the regions or worlds of or levels of experience. Loka, the word used in Sanskrit, it means lokyate iti loka. That which is seen is called loka. That which is experienced is called loka. Just as in this lifetime, we experience the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, that is also called loka. But when a yogi or when a sincere seeker, even in this lifetime, when he slowly evolves, he experiences the higher and higher planes of consciousness. Even these 7 chakras we have, when we reach those levels of the chakras also, one experiences higher and higher planes of consciousness. That is also called loka. But we are not talking at the individual level, but at the cosmic level. So at the individual level, these lokas are experienced within our body in the form of the chakras, where the Satyalok is at the top. So, what you call that? Mooladhar, Swadhisthana, Manipur, Anahat, Vishuddha, Agya. and then Sahasrar Chakra. These 7 chakras are there, which are like the higher worlds, and there are lower worlds. So all this at the cosmic level, because the cosmic is also a person like you and me, that Ishvara is also like a cosmic person who has this whole world as his body. Just imagine your own body, and there are millions of cells are there. And just imagine that in those cells there are people staying there. Just imagine. In all the cells, people are there, and one person is meditating there, rising slowly his kundalini through all the chakras. And he is a very devoted, sincere seeker. So his teacher tells him that whatever you are experiencing here, and you are seeing the world around you, these Golgi bodies and all, the entire whole thing is a cosmic person in which this world is there. In the same way, the world which we experience is a body of that supreme Virat Purush, universal person, Ishvara. He's not small. Ishvara is not small कि इस मूर्ति में डाल के उनको पॉकेट में डालते हैं, इतने छोटे नहीं हैं. God is very big. Ishvara is very big. So that Ishvara, in that supreme reality, totality, also all these worlds are there. The higher worlds and the lower worlds. We are, all of us, are in that Bhu, that world called Bhu. It's not only Prithvi, but all the entire physical world which we experience is called Bhu. Above that is Bhuvaha. Above that is Suvaha, which we call the Swargalok. Above that is Maha, higher world. Then above is Janaha, then Tapaha and Satyam. And as one rises to higher and higher world, there is more and more awareness, as though we become more and more evolved, more and more we become aware, and there is more experience of happiness. See, the Supreme Reality has got these 3 aspects, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Existence, consciousness and bliss. Every one of us experience that I exist. Our existence is experienced by all. We are conscious of our experience also, of our existence. But our level of happiness is very low. Even the happiest person on earth is very low happiness. So as one rises to this higher world, the level of happiness also grows. And in Satyalok, it is maximum happiness which one can experience within this world. But that supreme reality is beyond Satyalok also. So lokaha, annat pranaha, manaha, from that pranaha, that mana in the cosmic mind was projected, then satyam, the 5 elements, then lokaha, the various worlds. And in this world, on our earth also, we have these different types of beings. And slowly they evolve, all these beings, they evolve to become human. To become human means to become self-aware, they develop ability to think and understand. Our structure on earth is like this, maybe on some other planet it might be something else. But as one evolves physically, one becomes evolve to become self-aware, start thinking and all. So when that thinking faculty, self-awareness and sense of doership becomes very prominent, that time we start performing conscious action. So the karmas gets projected. Different types of actions which one can perform gets projected. This is for the humans, not for animal, birds and all. So karmas are projected, and then the karma phala we get, the result of karma, which is indicated here as amrutam, as immortal. Immortal because as long as the karma is there, the phala is also there along with it. It doesn't get destroyed. If I perform some action in this lifetime, if I don't get the result now, I might get after many lifetimes in future also. Whatever result we get now may not be the result of what actions we have performed now, but it is the result of the actions performed in the past sometimes. Just as in the jail also, if you find a lot of people there, and they are there because they are given that sentence to be in the jail because they have performed some crime and all. But as one notices, some of them are behaving very nicely and they are very nice and humble, and so one may say, oh, such a nice person, such a good person, why is he put in jail? He is not put in jail because he is nice and humble, but he had committed some crime. Similarly, one may be in a different state of mind and different personality, but the results follow us. Result doesn't wait for a suitable occasion, that it follows us in different ways. Just like our postal service, they used to, in the good old days, you write a letter on a postcard. Then वो address इतने दिन के बाद आता था, तो that fellow has changed his address, then somebody is to redirect it. Then it will keep chasing that person. There are cases where a person has got this letter after 20 years, 30 years also, कि आपको बेटा हो गया है. So, similarly, the results of our karma follows us. It doesn't get destroyed. Therefore, they are called immortal. So, annat pranaha manaha satyam loka karmasu cha amrutam. So, this is how the world is projected. Just as the spider views the web, the entire thing comes from the spider, sustained by the spider, and again goes back into the spider. Or like the earth, the plants and all grow, it is sustained, and again merges back into the earth. From the mitti only, the plant comes, the flowers come, and again goes back into the mitti. Similarly, the entire world is projected from that Supreme as the Avyakta, then the Hiranyagarbha or Mahat-tattva, Mana, Satyam, Loka, Karma, and Amrutam, and again merges back into it. So this is very beautifully presented here, and the chapter concludes with another mantra. Yas sarvajna sarvavita yasyat jnanamayam tapaha tasmadetat brahma brahma namarupam annam cha jayate yas sarvajna sarvavita yasyat jnanamayam tapaha tasmadetat brahma namarupam annam cha jayate. Yah sarvajnah sarvavita yasya jnanamayam tapaha tasmad etad brahma nama rupam annam cha jayate. So he who is that Akshar Brahma is also indicated here as Sarvajna and Sarvavita. So that Brahma alone is Sarvajna. So when he is Sarvajna, we also call him Ishvara. Sarvajna means all knowing. And Sarvavita. Sarvavita also means the same thing if literally. So why these two words are used? there is a little distinction. So one is he knows everything in general and he knows everything in particular. It's very interesting. For example, I know certain things. Let us say I know this paperweight. It's the only thing available here now at present. So I'm using this as an example. So I know this paperweight in particular. But not only I know this paperweight, God also knows this paperweight. But interesting, you also know now, you have seen. So let me give another example which you don't know. Yes. So this thought is there in my mind, which you don't know. But I know. So I know this thought in particular, in the sense I am the knower of this thought. But God, Ishvara, is also the knower of this thought. So and I am also Ishvara only. So Ishvara knows everything in general, but he also knows everything in particular. You understand? It's very interesting. Therefore, these two terms are very interesting, Sarvajna and Sarvavita. He knows everyone's thoughts, everything he knows as Ishvara, but he alone is the seer and the knower in each and every being. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, कि इदम शरीरम कौन्तेय क्षेत्र इत्यभिधीयते एतद् यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः. कि this sharir is like kshetra and the one who knows it is kshetrajna. Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Then he says, understand me as kshetrajna, the knower in everybody. So Bhagwan alone is the knower in us. So when we are sad, when we are thinking of something, when we have a thought which we think only I know, but along with you, Bhagwan also knows it. He knows. Therefore, we don't have to even say anything to Bhagwan. He knows. Before we say, he knows. Because in the fact, he knows before us also. Because in the unmanifest, the thoughts are there. They are about to rise. Even at that level, Bhagwan knows कि ये thought अभी आने वाला है, इसको अभी पता नहीं है. It's like the vehicle which comes. We see it only when it comes in front of our house or something. Like here in India, we travel by train. India means other places also they travel, but some speciality is there in India. We not only travel inside the train, but we sit on the top and travel also, which is a speciality. I don't know about any other country, but therefore India is called a free country. So it's very important, because if these people were not traveling like that, I wouldn't have given this example. So just imagine this train. So there are people sitting here and inside also. So suppose I am sitting inside. I like to sit inside. So I am sitting inside the train and looking out of the window. I see some, let us say, some house right in front. The train is moving. I see a beautiful garden and a house. When it comes directly here. Here, there is some other thing which is there. Let us say a building is there or some river is there. I don't see it. But the person who is sitting on top, he sees that. He knows what will come. He knows what has come. He knows what has come and gone also. He is called Trikala Drishti. And whatever happens ultimately for our good, because all of us are moving towards our final destination. Ultimately, it is good only. But in the short period, it might appear very bad and very miserable, but ultimately all of us are moving towards our final destination. So Ishvara is indicated here as Sarvajna, one who is the knower of everything in general, and also he knows everything in particular. So Sarvavita. So yes, Sarvajna Sarvavita, yasya jnanamayam tapaha, and his tapas is jnanamay, of the nature of knowledge. So through that knowledge, which is of the nature of consciousness, through that consciousness itself, Ishvara projects this entire world. So his world which is projected is not a physical world, but is through his tapas of knowledge itself, the world gets projected. Therefore, it is also said, he just thinks and it is there. Like in Bible it is said, what did he say? Let there be light, and there was light. So let there be the world, and there is world. So it through his sankalpa, through the sankalpa shakti of Bhagwan, the world gets projected. Just like in our dream, from our mind, the world gets projected. We experience the world. We experience the world as we are experiencing this world. We can touch, we can see, we can eat in our dream. We are sleeping in a dark room, but we dream that it is bright and sunny. We are walking, we are meeting people, we think, we decide, we judge, we are happy, we are unhappy in our dream. How this whole world has come. And if somebody asks you, is this world real? You will say, yes, it is very much real. I can see it, I can feel it, I can touch you. But when I wake up, the whole world just gets swallowed into me. Similarly, this world which appears so real is a projection of Ishvara's mind, cosmic mind. That Hiranyagarbha is Ishvara's mind only, Ishvara's intelligence. So he is Sarvajna Sarvavit, yasya jnanamayam tapaha. His tapas is jnanamay. And from him only, tasmad etad brahma. Here Brahma means that Brahma, the Hiranyagarbha, is born. And then all the different names and forms, Nama Rupa and Annam. Here Annam, the meaning of Annam is the food in this context. Nam, Rupa, Annam, cha jayate. The sequence was already said in the previous mantra. So from this Ishvara or that Brahma or Akshar Brahma, who is Sarvajna Sarvavita, the whole world gets projected of names and forms and different varieties are projected from that Brahma. That Brahma is my own real self. That is what I am in reality. So thus concludes this chapter, which began with these two types of knowledge, Apara and Paravidya, and indicated that Paravidya also, and the creation was indicated. Now this second section of this first chapter is very interesting, in which the Aparavidya, the lower knowledge, is explained in detail so that we understand its limitation and we transcend it, we gain what you call vairagya from it and go towards Paravidya. The limitations of karma and upasana. As I said, the lower knowledge, which is all the Vedas and everything, which propels people to perform karma, and upasana, action and worship. These are the two levels of action which we perform in the world: action at the physical level and action with attitude, action with intelligence, understanding. That is the upasana, higher type of action. Upasana is also action, but a higher category of action. So both these are mentioned in the lower Vidya. So that is explained in detail in this section. So let us chant this mantra. Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayah yanyapashyanstani त्रेतायां बहुधा संततानि तान्याचरथ नियतं सत्यकामाः एषवपन्थाः सुकृतस्य लोके. हाँ. Tadetat satyam. This is the truth. This is the truth means what is said in the about the Aparavidya, what is given in the Vedas, in the Karma Kanda and Upasana, that is also true. True means at that level, whatever is said is true. They talk about the karma, they talk about what results will come. Everything is true. Just because it is said Aparavidya, and in the ultimate sense, it is what you call just an illusion, but within that, it is true. For example, if I am hungry in my dream, then I should eat the dream food. And there might be some process of acquiring it. So similarly, whatever is said about the Karma Kanda and Upasana is a true thing. One should have faith in it. Should have faith in all the karmas and their process and the result which comes. So tadetat satyam, this is true. Mantreshu karmani kavayo yani apashyan. In all the mantras of the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, what the great thinkers, what the great rishis, the actions which they saw in those mantras, those actions, Tretayam Bahuda Santatani, those actions, those karmas were very much performed, very much practiced in the Treta Yuga also. Even in Vartaman it is practiced, but in Treta Yuga also it was very much practiced. So Tretayam Bahudha Santatani. Say, as we go from Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, people's mind becomes more and more what you call tamasic, more and more disturbed, and slowly people lose their faith in something higher. We become more and more like Pashus. Pashu means Pashyati iti Pashu. Whatever is seen, we start believing. What is not seen, what is subtle, is not appreciated. What is subtle is not appreciated. But as one becomes more and more sattvic, we start appreciating subtle things. For example, we do perform puja. We offer the naivedya to Bhagwan, and then it is taken as prasad. This is a subtle action. Grossly looking at it, it will not be appreciated. क्या है भगवान के सामने रखा हो खा लिया उसमें क्या है? Nowadays children and all they keep asking this type of question because at the gross level it seems quite what is this? ये just लड्डूस भगवान के सामने रख दिया और बाद में आप ही बैठ के खा लिया सब and you say it is prasad. But it has got its subtle action happens there. When we offer it to the Lord with that attitude, when the Naivedya is offered, it undergoes subtle modification, transformation. And when we eat that prasad, it has got transforming effect on our mind. Outwardly, it appears as though it is just the same laddu which we have brought from the market or we have made it at home. But it has undergone a transformation which cannot be appreciated by gross physical people, those who are influenced by Kali Yuga. Therefore, it is here, it is said in Treta Yuga and all, where people had more faith, more that ability to understand the subtle things, it was more popular and spread out this type of karma. But as we come from therefore in Treta Yuga, yajnas were very popular. In Satya Yuga, dhyana was popular because in these karmas also people were not so much interested. They were so sattvic that they were more interested in dhyana and gaining that state of enlightenment. Therefore, Satya Yuga is not mentioned. But in Treta Yuga, people became little more rajasic. So they started doing karmas. But they started believing in more and more that yajna also, which are subtle karmas. Yajna cannot be appreciated by a gross mind. That you do the havan, fire is kindled, and you put all those ahutis. People will say, kya hai? Objectively, if you look, many times some foreigners and all, they come and look objectively, they start wondering. If they kindle fire and keep on throwing ghee and all, pure ghee. बेचारा बाकी भूखा है वो, उसको तो घी खिलाते, यहाँ पर उसमें डाल दिया. So this is very difficult to comprehend. So this was comprehended by those people in Treta Yuga whose mind were more sattvic. So yajna was more popular in Treta Yuga. Therefore, in Treta Yuga, when Ramchandra ji was born, he was there to protect the yajna. He specially came to protect yajna only. Because the Rishi Munis were performing yajna, and this Ravan, who was a forerunner of Kali Yuga, he was creating a lot of havoc. He did not allow. In fact, Ravan also knew the value of yajna. Therefore, he wanted to, because if the yajnas were performed, his strength would reduce. So he used to prevent people from performing yajna. So he used to prevent that Vishwamitra and everyone from performing yajna. So Ramchandra ji specially took avatar to protect the yajnas. Then Treta Yuga, after that Dwapar Yuga came, in which more Rajogun, more Tamogun, and people lost that understanding of yajna. So pujas became more popular. Like we perform in this time also. Puja, so Murti Puja, and performing worship of Govardhan, worship of some devatas, that became more popular because it became more understandable. That Bhagwan you imagine in a particular object and offer the services to the Lord. So therefore in Dwapar Yuga the puja was there. But in Kali Yuga, even that puja became difficult to appreciate. People find it very difficult to appreciate puja. So in Kali Yuga, you say just take Bhagwan's name. Forget about puja, forget about yajna. At least Bhagwan ka naam mein to vishwas hai, haan. So naam le lo. Ram, 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 Ram. Harer nama, Harer namaiva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. So in Kali Yuga, where our mind is more rajasic, more tamasic, the subtler dhyan we cannot do, the yajnas we don't have any faith, the pujas also is very difficult to perform with proper attitude. So Naam has become more easy to be performed. But here he is talking about the Treta Yuga. So yani apashyantani tretayam bahudha santatani. It doesn't mean that in Kali Yuga people are not doing yajna. They are doing it. Pujas are also done. Dhyan is also done. But in general, people have lost faith in this pujas and all. They have more faith in their words. They have more faith in their thinking. So therefore that Naam is more comprehensible in Kali Yuga. Even in the field of business also, name is the main thing. If a company, their name itself works them. They do everything for their name. Even now this one, the franchise and all those things, the name is there. So name has got its own. Even that brand, what you call that, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, branding. So if you wear a t-shirt and all of a particular brand, then हाँ ये तो it is made here only. नाइकी वगैरह अपने ही यहाँ पर नोएडा में बनता है, बट इफ इट इज देन हाँ काफी अच्छा है नहीं. सो नाम की महिमा कलियुग में ज्यादा है, नाम से काम चलता है. सो यानी अपश्यन तानि त्रेतायाम बहुधा संततानि. सो त्रेता युग में दिस yajnas were very popular and understood, and they were performed properly. Tani acharatha niyatam satyakamaha, and by performing those yajnas, satyakamaha, those who desired some result, they used to get their result through these yajnas. Even it is like Ramchandra ji, all of the brothers were born through the yajna only. So through these yajnas, they used to get whatever result they desired. Even the natural forces were controlled through yajna. Even rains and other things were possible by performing these various types of yajna. There's a Varuna yajna which gives rise to, if there is drought or something, famine, what you call, it rains also. So tani acharata niyatam satyakamaha. Esha va pantha sukrutasya loke. So in this world, if we want to attain any results, proper fruits, then this is the way. You should follow the karma said in the Vedas. So those who have faith in the yajnas, they can perform those karmas. Those who have faith in pujas and all, they can perform those karmas. Those who don't have faith, then in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan tells us that even your duties, whatever you are doing, regular duties, going to office, doing your work, that also if you do with a particular attitude, you will get the results. So in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan has made it much more simple for Kali Yuga people. Bhagavad Gita was given at the end of Dwapar Yuga. Bhagavan knew that this Kali Yuga में लोगों यज्ञ याग वगैरह तो मुश्किल ही काम होगा. एक तो प्योर घी मिलने वाला नहीं है. And even if you try to use that ghee, somebody will come and scold you, why you are using ghee. उधर देखो ये वो खाने को नहीं मिलता है और घी डालते हो अंदर, शर्म नहीं आती है. So you will feel guilty even while pouring that ghee. You will look here and there. कोई देख ना ले. शिव भगवान को दूध चढ़ा रहे लेकिन घबराहट से कि कोई आके ऑब्जेक्शन न ले. So all these things are possible in Kali Yuga. So Bhagavan knew it. Therefore he said, Karma Yoga, Kartavya Karma, whatever your duties are, you fulfill those duties with a proper attitude. Then you will get the result. Every action have got their result. Subtler action gives subtler result. Gross action gives gross result. Whatever attitude with which you perform, result is gained accordingly. If that action is performed individually, you get individually result. If you collectively perform an action, collective result is gained. It is all follows rules, follows the laws. So, Esha va panthaha sukrutasya loke. So, in this world, if one wants to gain the fruits of karma, then you follow this pantha, this path shown by the scriptures. So the description of this yajna is given in a very beautiful way. The next verse. Yada lelayate yarchihi samidhe havyavahane tada ajya bhagau अंतरेणाहुतिः प्रतिपादयेत् श्रद्धया हुतं. हाँ, यदा लेलायते यर्चिः. when the details are little bit given in the previous portion. All details are given in the previous portion of the Vedas. Upanishad, this Upanishad and other Upanishad comes at the end portion. Even in Kathopanishad, we have seen that how Yamrajji tells the details of how to place the bricks, etc. So the bricks are also laid according to the rule in which the direction is seen, and the laying of the bricks are done according to the geometrical rule, square and this and that, all sorts of rules are there by which one has to lay the bricks for the yajna. The number of bricks and the position in which it is laid and the material used for that, everything is mentioned in the Vedas. So once the bricks are laid, then the fire is kindled, and once the fire is kindled, then the ahutis are offered into that fire. So yada lelayate hyarchihi, when that fire gets kindled, then samidhe, the flame, when it starts moving and all, the sacred fire, havyavahane, tada ajya bhagav antarena ahuti pratipadayet, then the ahutis should be offered. The offering is done, different types of herbs are there, then the ghee also, pure ghee is used, and all these herbs, when they are burnt in that fire, even the smoke which emanates, it purifies the whole atmosphere. It's very like nowadays there is this aroma therapy and all those things. The aroma which comes out of these yajnas, they are also, physically also, they are very beneficial. But the main thing is they give rise to subtler result. So when they are performed with proper mantras and at a proper time, proper place, with proper way, they give rise to the right result. So tada ajya bhagav antarena ahuti pratipadayet. Then in between the portions of the fire, the ahuti has to be offered. The ahuti should be offered at the right time, at the right place. The flames are like the mouth of the devata. So it has to be offered in those flames at the right time. Not that anywhere here and there you throw the ahuti, but at the right time, when that swaha is uttered, that time the ahutis are offered. Just like when a little child, when the mother feeds the child, in the good old days, she used to keep the child in her this lap, and child also is very hatti, doesn't want to eat. तो उसको यहाँ वहाँ चीज़ें बतानी पड़ती थी, ओ कौवा देखो कौवा, उसी वक्त उसके मुंह में देन वो खाना डालना होता है. Because I remember I must have eaten like that only. So generally the child is taken outside and some natural thing only. It need not be natural also. It can be their relative. Mama dekho. So only when the mouth is open, at that right time, the ahuti should be given. If the mouth closes and you try to push in, it will not work. Similarly, all these agnis and all, they are like the mouths of the devata. When the right type of agni is there, then the ahutis are offered in it. How many types of agni are there and all will be also mentioned. So, tada ajya bhagav antarena ahuti pratipadayet. With the right mantras, they are offered. When those particular mantras are chanted, that particular devata accepts it, or whatever the what you call things happen, so it is offered at that time. Therefore here it is said shraddhaya hutam. So this has to be done with full faith, shraddha. Yajna, when it is performed with proper faith, then it has its own proper result. But they have this, though the karmas have their own beauty and their strength and power, they have their own limitations also. And the Upanishad is interested to make us transcend this karma and upasana and ultimately to gain that knowledge. So the limitations of these karmas are mentioned now in the next verse. Yasya agnihotram adarsham apaunamasam achaturmasyam anagrayanam atithi varjitam cha ahutam avaishvadevam avidhinahutam asaptamanstasya lokan hinasti. He says that here the description is of the Agnihotra karma, which is the most important karma mentioned in the Vedas, and it has to be performed. There are people who perform it regularly. Even there are families who have that name also as Agnihotra, who perform that karma, this yajna, regularly. But this yajna has to be accompanied by so many other factors. Then only it becomes complete. It is this Agnihotra karma is one unit, but it has to be accompanied by many of them. Then only it becomes complete. Then only it will give the result, right result. If it is not done properly with all this accompaniment, then it doesn't give the result, and sometimes it gives negative result. Just as any other thing, like even in the field of science also, suppose I want to make something, some experiment or some experiment I do in the laboratory, chemical laboratory. If it is done properly, I will get the result which I expect. If it is not done properly, some blast may take place and this and that. Sometimes people have some accident. क्या हो गया, नाक कैसे जल गया? नहीं, वो एक फॉर्मूला भूल गया मैं. Instead of putting water, I put H2SO4. Similarly, the Agnihotra karma should be accompanied by all this. One is called darsham. If it is not accompanied by all this, then the negative result comes. So darsham, I don't know exactly what is this darsham and all, but it is some sort of moon sacrifice, new moon and full moon sacrifice. So it's called darsha. Then Paurnimasa. So Paurnimasa also related to the moon. Then if it is not done, adarsham means if that darsham sacrifice is not done, or Paurnima's sacrifice is not done, achaturmasyam, then in Chaturmas also certain type of ritual has to be done. If that is not done, achaturmasyam, then anagrayanam, then on autumn season also, in the what you call harvest season, some special type of yajnas are done. If that is also not done, and atithi varjitam, and guest atithi are not fed properly, because along with the yajna, the feeding of atithis are also there, part of the yajna. Ahutam, or if one doesn't do that Agnihotra karma at all, avaishvadevam, Vaishvadev is also another type of sacrifice which has to be performed. If that is not performed, or avidhina hutam, or that ahuti is done without proper vidhi, without understanding the Vedic ritual if one does that, then asaptaman tasya lokan hinasti, then 7 worlds, the higher worlds, which we have seen, the Bhur, Bhuvas and all, the 7 worlds, the result which he would have gained, this person, which will have given him these benefits in the higher 7 worlds, all of them get destroyed. Lokan, saptan, tasya lokan hinasti. It gets destroyed, it gets affected. Means what the karmas which we perform here, it has got effect in all the our higher worlds as well as the lower worlds. Every action which we perform is not giving result only in this lifetime, but it also affects the result in the future lifetime. Also, the 7 worlds are the 7 generation also. One is the 7 worlds, but also each person, whatever action one performs, the ritualistic action, the 7 generations get involved. Suppose I am doing it, then the father, the grandfather and great-grandfather, son, grandson and great-grandson. So these are the 7 generations. Even when a person does Shraddha, it is done for the father, the grandfather and great-grandfather. We should, therefore the Panditji asked the name of great-grandfather also. Many people don't know, pata nahi kya naam unka. He asked the name, पिताजी का नाम क्या है, पिताजी के पिताजी का नाम क्या है, पिताजी के पिताजी के पिताजी का नाम. That is part of the ritual. So the higher worlds, they get what you call those who are dead and gone. When we perform Shraddha, they are benefited by that. And while living, the son, the grandson, the great-grandson, they are also benefited. But if the karmas are performed wrongly, then those people above and those people below, all of them suffer. See, this is quite understandable even in this world. If one person commits some crime or does something wrong, not only that person suffers, but the entire family suffers. Bapre. So this is a very thing which is mentioned here, the limitation and the sensitivity of these karmas. The idea behind this is not to just to scare the people, but to tell them about this limitation and to develop that vairagya towards all this and make them aware of the higher knowledge. So more about this we will see tomorrow. Now we will just sit quietly for 5 minutes and conclude. Become aware of the present moment. You are experiencing your own existence. You are aware of your own existence. That pure existence beyond your thoughts and your body, that pure consciousness is your real nature, and that is the source of this entire creation. You are the center of this universe. You are the source of this cosmos. The self in you is the self in all. That self is the source of this cosmos. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः।